Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. This week I'm going to be talking about pulmonary hypertension and education. So today I've had a lot of help to find out what pulmonary hypertension is like when you're at school and you have to deal with your diagnosis, the everyday symptoms and generally living life with pulmonary hypertension when you're a child and you're trying to get an education. So before this video, I handed out a questionnaire. I was very lucky to have a lot of parents and their children with pulmonary hypertension come forward. So, let's begin. "75% of children were diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension when they were at school." Now, I can imagine that was very, very difficult because you're trying to get on with your everyday life at school, trying to attend classes, making new friends, learning about your new school and just trying to generally join in at playtime, and then bam, you've got your diagnosis. It must have been very, very difficult for them. The main difficulty that I found from the outcome of this survey is that they had trouble dealing with tiredness. And as you know, pulmonary hypertension, one of the main symptoms is chronic fatigue. So having to go to school from 8:30 to 3:30 every day for 5 days a week must be a struggle for them. And it shows from what they have answered that tiredness is the #1 problem within going to school. Another difficulty is making friends, because when you have pulmonary hypertension you miss a lot of school. You have to go to your hospital appointments, so you're in and out of hospital, in and out of school, and your friendships, as you know, they change and people get new friends here, new friends there, and when you go back friendships are suddenly different. So trying to make friends was another difficulty that they found. And the final one is PE. A lot of children have difficulties joining in with PE. They have a fear of having to join in with PE because they just can't keep up. They aren't able to run around the field, jump over hurdles, or do anything in the physical way because they just get so breathless that they just can't keep up, and they find it very difficult and embarrassing. And so it is hard to have pulmonary hypertension when at school. And going back to breathlessness, when you are at school and you are at secondary school, you have to travel and walk from one class to another, up and down stairs, because some schools aren't disability friendly, they don't have lifts. And so it is a real struggle to get from one class to another. Unfortunately, the majority of people who answered this survey did not have any positives about having pulmonary hypertension whilst in school, which I kind of thought would happen. But there are a few positives. Some say they've got toilet passes so they can go to the toilet more often. They've got another room where they can go to have a break because they just can't concentrate with their pulmonary hypertension. And some are even lucky by getting one-to-one support. So that is really good that some schools are helping those who have a condition like pulmonary hypertension and getting the extra support and care that they need whilst helping them through their education. So staff, the teachers, the carers, the support. This was a kind of a 50-50 answer. And what I found is that the children who said yes, the staff were really helpful, were those that were younger and in primary school. And those that said no were older and in secondary school. So I found that the younger children got the best support they can whilst they were learning in primary school, and when you got to secondary school, that seemed to have stopped. So that is very sad that just because you're in a secondary school, the teachers seem to have a different attitude. Because you are getting older, you're going 15, 16, going on to 17. And a lot of children found that because they were at that older age, they obviously don't need support anymore. But they're wrong. And a lot of children found that there wasn't any help or support for them from the teachers. And that's very sad to hear that teachers aren't helping people with chronic illnesses in their schools. So, sadly, pulmonary hypertension has changed their career ideas, as it did for me, because you can't do the things that you want to do in life, because pulmonary hypertension does hold you back. Those who are old enough and had already thought about their career said yes, it had totally ruined their prospects and dreams of what they wanted to be and do when they're older. Those who were younger obviously hadn't thought about a career, so hopefully when they get older and knowing that pulmonary hypertension will affect their future, they'll be able to choose a career that will kind of work around their pulmonary hypertension. But those who got diagnosed later in school life, they already had their dreams of what they wanted to do. And someone answered, yes, pulmonary hypertension has totally ruined my life. Which, for a 16-year-old, was very devastating to read. So, college and university. Some of the children who were at primary school obviously weren't ready to talk about this, but for those who could answer, a lot of them said they'll try college, but they're not going to go to university. Because college, you can still stay at home, you can maybe stay on at your school, you're in a place that you know well, and so therefore you can continue to get your A-levels or diplomas or whatever they decide to do. But when it came to uni, a lot of them said no. And the reason is because it's too far away. I know there are some unis that are close by, but still, you're away from your parents. You're away from your safe zone, what you're used to, what you know. And a lot of the children have to take many medications every day. And some are even on the Hickman line already. So the thoughts of having to change their Hickman line or change their meds or doing what they know with their routine, the fear of uni is too much. And so a lot of them found that they won't be going to university. So a lot of them have said making friends was a really difficult thing when having pulmonary hypertension because of going in and out of school and hospitals so much, that the friendship circles changed so much that they just couldn't join in. Another thing was that bullying. A lot of children, sadly, have been bullied due to having pulmonary hypertension and not being able to join in at school. Some have even left the school and joined a new one because it just got too much for them, and they've got enough to deal with when it comes to pulmonary hypertension. So it's very sad to read that bullying was one of the number one things that was a struggle when attending school. Someone said pulmonary hypertension brings nothing but disappointment. And someone said, I think the educational systems should have something in place when dealing with chronic illnesses such as pulmonary hypertension. Having pulmonary hypertension, when trying to study, get an education, get a career, is very difficult. The positives aren't really there because your life is focused so much around dealing with pulmonary hypertension. but a lot of them have kept positive despite all of this, and know that even though their career has changed, their hopes and dreams have changed, they can still get on with life and come out the other end and be a positive and happy person. Here is what they have to say about their school life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!